Searching for the road to the way back. We don't know our father's going way back. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. We the chosen people, you say no way. Your enemies been teaching you the wrong way. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's the simple things in life, like learning all again. It's the simple things in life, like finding where it all began. Do you know your history? History. Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know your history? History. Yeah. Do you know it? Do you know it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? Do you know it? Tell me, do you know it? History. Now we going back. He done on my back for sure. When I let the truth go, we gon' let them know. My people on my back for sure. I hold them down.
Welcome back. We are back. Another brand new week. You're now tuned into
Our Hidden History radio show.
Yeah, we're back, man. So we're gonna jump right into it. We're still dealing with the slavery in the Arab world, the destinations that we were dropped off at. I addressed a couple of weeks back about how the whole myth about the slave ships being a myth, whatever. And so people are arguing about the slave ships in the Atlantic. We've already dealt with that. Testimonials, blueprints. What else?
Yeah,
come on, man.
Drawings, testimonies,
weight, the freaking size of the ship, dimensions. Come on, man. So
there's no denying it.
Yeah, we're past this now at this point. So now we're gonna go into the slavery on the other side of the world. Many of you are unfamiliar with this history, but this is the Trans-Pacific slave trade. We're heading into that, and we're going into the destinations of that. The Trans-Pacific slave trade, those of you who are new to watching this, or maybe just stumble upon this page, welcome, or this show. We're going to touch on the history of the Trans-Pacific slave trade. Many of us know about the Transatlantic slave trade, or the triangular slave trade across the Atlantic. Or we've even touched on before the Mediterranean slave trade as well, which is still the Atlantic really, because it flows into the Atlantic. But one of the most unspoken of histories regarding our enslavement, which is the worst slavery in existence ever. People say, oh, everyone was in slavery. No slavery on this earth ever compares to ours. Whether you refer to it as the Black Holocaust or the Ma'afa, no slavery is in comparison to ours. The Holocaust is a 5-year white-on-white crime. I don't know. As opposed to the slavery that we underwent for freaking centuries, okay? Even after the Emancipation Proclamation of 1865, we were still catching hell, all right? 100 years after that. So, and still to this day, ain't nothing changed really.
Yeah.
The privileges have been up. We got updated privileges. That's all. What you call rights. So We're going to touch on the trans-Pacific slave trade. We're going to head into that now. We're heading into that area which the Arabs were heavily instrumental in, along with the help, or not help, but pretty much the assistance of the Portuguese. So give me page 4. We touched this book before, Slavery in the Arab World. The book we used last week, the Black Holocaust by S.E. Anderson. He made references to this book multiple times. This is a very, very good book, Slavery in the Arab World by Murray Gordon. Very good book. Page 4. All right, let's blow it up some. You read it before. We're going to read it again. Refresh your minds. Come on.
Yet, centuries before, the first ship flying the flag of a European country slipped out from one of the numerous inlets along Africa's west coast laden with human cargo. The peoples of North Africa, Arabia, and the Persian Gulf were forcibly transferring large numbers of blacks down the Nile to Egypt and across the network of the vast Saharan trade routes from West and Central Africa to the countries of the Maghreb.
You want to go through this slow. So it says, along the inlets along Africa's west coast laden with human cargo, the peoples of North Africa, Arabia, and the Persian Gulf were forcibly transferring. So the people of Arabia, North Africa, which would be Arabs again, and the Persian Gulf, that be your Persians or Iranians today. They were transferring numbers of blacks down the Nile to Egypt and across the network, because it was a network, of the vast Saharan trade. Go ahead.
And decades after the last slave ships sailed westward to the Americas and the West Indies.
Come on.
Where slavery had been abolished by the early 1870s.
I mentioned that earlier. Watch this.
Arab dhows.
Arab dhows. Arab dhows are Arab slave ships on the opposite side of the Atlantic. Read on. Arab dhows were what?
Were furtively moving out of Zanzibar.
Out of Zanzibar, Mombasa,
and other East African ports.
Come on.
Following the familiar Indian Ocean routes for the consignment of ebony.
So, following the familiar Indian Ocean routes for the consignment of ebony. What? You can hear me? Because I can't hear me.
No,
is that all right?
That's the judge's mic.
It says, yeah, I can't hear him either. Consignment of ebony. Now, it has ebony in quotes because ebony, of course, is a dark element. It's black. They refer to us as ebony, or we will also refer to as black gold. Ebony, black gold, that's us. Go ahead.
The masters of these fast lateen-rigged ships.
Lateen-rigged ships.
Lateen-rigged ships, which were methodically packed in sardine-like fashion with men, women, and children.
So these masters of these fast lateen-rigged ships, which were methodically packed, we were packed in sardine-like fashion with men, women, and children. Damn. So the Arabs had us packed in their slave ships or dhows like sardines, the same way that Europeans had us packed in their cargo ships like sardines on the other side of the ocean. This is the Indian Ocean. This is the slavery that they don't want you to hear about or learn about in school. Read on.
Maneuvered skillfully in evading the small force of British sloops.
Because the British gained control over the Indian Ocean in intercepting and stopping the illicit slave trade of the Arabs past the 1870s. Okay? Because slavery didn't end for them, but still didn't end. Slavery's still going on among the Arabs. It has not stopped. It's covert. And the EU is involved. Okay? So the British, the book I show y'all all the time, that's called Nautical Magazine. A lot of the Marines and so forth, or pretty much the Marines in them, they speak on the conditions of the people that they discovered aboard these ships that they would intercept along the Zanzibar, Mombasa, and so forth in the Indian Ocean. Read on.
Charged with the impossible mission of interdicting this illicit traffic.
Because they couldn't catch them all. And these ships are very, very fast, it says. Fast lateen-rigged ships. Okay, read on. This is maneuvered skillfully. The Arabs maneuvered these ships very skillfully in the Indian Ocean to avoid British interception of us being on the cargo on the bottom. Go ahead.
The blacks caught up in this trade were fated to be sold in the slave marts of Arabia.
He was sold in the slave marts of Arabia. Keep this in mind. Go ahead.
The Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf.
The Ottoman Empire.
Turks. These are Turks. Edom, I call them Edom Arabs, Edomites. These are white Arabs, Caucasians that convert to Islam, that mingle with Arab women. That's what Turks are. Those are the guys in Egypt today. Turks. Go ahead.
And India.
And India. They had us, they brought us over there as slaves in or to India. Go ahead.
Relatively little has been written about this facet of the slave trade.
It says little has been written regarding this facet of the slave trade. Hold on to that. Let's stop at page 4. Let me see. Yeah, hold that. Give me Nautical Magazine. I mentioned it earlier, all praises. Give me page 352. This book is a record of those interceptions of that illicit trade.
The Nautical Magazine and Naval Chronicle for
1870. Remember the book said earlier, in the 1870s, they were involved in illicit slave trading. 5 years prior, we had the Emancipation Proclamation. So they were still selling us. Long after the emancipation of our people on one side of the world, the slave trade continued on the other side of the world, covertly, secretly, illicitly. Let's go. Page 352.
From the top or off the island?
Yeah, go to the bottom. Off the island. That's fine.
Off the island, Kwali, we spoke. HM ship, Nymph, proceeding up to Zanzibar.
Zanzibar. Remember that slave trade was going on. Zanzibar, Madagascar, Mombasa. Go ahead.
It is a great pity that she did not go in from the northward, for she must have fallen in with several slave dhows.
Slave dhows. The last book mentioned the slave dhows. Go ahead.
Which would have been good and lawful prizes, their slaves being actually on board. If the British government is really in earnest in wishing to suppress the slave trade on this coast, why do they not place a small steam sloop with 6 or 8 small gunboats or even steam launches under the orders of the sloop at the disposal of the political agents at Zanzibar, Muscat, and Aden? Those old gunboats that were hauled up at Haslar will answer very well if the white ants have not eaten them up. The above agents will be able to give information at a proper time to the naval officers, and the slavers could be captured as soon as they embarked the slaves.
Come on, watch.
An instance occurred in March last at Zanzibar.
Zanzibar is at play. Remember last week you mentioned Zanzibar. That's an island, a very beautiful island. It means it was heavily, densely populated with blacks. That was last week's lesson, Zanzibar. Okay, the slave trade was there. Go ahead.
Of a number of northern Arabs mustering well-armed and marching upwards of 200 slaves a few miles out of the town to embark them in 2 dhows for the Persian Gulf.
For 100 for each dhow. Go ahead.
The British president reported this to the Sultan, who immediately ordered 500 soldiers to go and stop the embarkation and to arrest the dealers. But the soldiers were so long turning out and made so much noise and music when they did march that the slaves were embarked and the dhows across our stern before the soldiers reached the place, and when they did so, they found a number of Arab chiefs taking corner at Shimgar at a picnic eating in the country. And of course, fraternized and reported what they saw upon their return. The northern Arabs are accustomed to sail in convoy when they are on slaving or piratical expeditions, and they are all well armed.
Piratical means pirate. Piratical expeditions. Go ahead.
Therefore, if boats are sent to attack Arab dhows, they should be well supported.
So the Arab dhows are armed. Ishmael was armed to prepare themselves for the British. Go ahead.
For the northern Arabs can use their weapons and will fight well.
Right. So this is a history of them pretty much trying to intercept this slave trading and these dhows from Zanzibar. Zanzibar was the main port from which they would depart to drop us off as slaves in different parts of the world, of the Indian Ocean. Now, get the atlas, the slave atlas. I want page 193 on the slave atlas. So I've been trying to get it for a while. All praise to the Most High. If something leading to the Trans-Pacific slave trade, the Indian Ocean slave trade, it's all the same. Page
Hey, this is
193.
perfect timing too, Deke. You know, all the traveling the bishops are doing over there.
Yeah, exactly. So
Perfect
it's
timing.
perfect timing. All praises. Page 193. That's it. Blow it up. Read the bottom.
Courts. Register of Liberated Africans, 1824. Courts of mixed commission were created at several venues in the Atlantic Basin after 1817 as part of the British-led effort to suppress international slave
Right, they
trading.
were referred to as the so-called British sloops. Go ahead.
The courts passed judgment on those suspected of illegal slaving activities who were detained by naval vessels in international waters.
Yes, that'll be the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Go ahead.
Captives on board ships condemned for illegal trade were liberated and registers with their name, age,
Go ahead.
height, and body marks.
So go up. This is the record here, the log here of them rescuing us from this illicit trade. These are all the names here. Names, ages, heights. And okay, that's what this is. You don't gotta read it, but that's chicken scratch. I can't even read that thing, but that's just I see 5'6", 5'7", 5'8 and a half, 5'8" and whatever. But these are names.
Yeah, some got marks like scarifications, tribal marks.
Yeah.
Chantel's family.
Damn.
Yeah, that's the average height of what we was taking.
You see 5'3" right there? 5'3".
That's his lineage. That's the lineage.
Search thy fathers.
Terrible, man. Terrible people. Go down. So go down. So including scarifications, go ahead, were
Including scarifications were kept in an effort to prevent their subsequent re-enslavement.
re-enslavement. Go ahead.
Among the earliest and most important of these courts was the one established at Freetown, Sierra Leone. The slave registers, of which covered 1819 to 1845, and provide the largest source of data on identities of Africans forced into the Atlantic slave trade.
But not only the Atlantic, but also the Trans-Pacific also. Go ahead.
Shown here is a page of the slave register arising from the seizure and condemnation of the brig Dos Amigos Brasileiros at Freetown in 1824.
Right. So that's a record again, a slave log of names of us who were pretty much rescued from the illicit slave trading on the boats. The British was saved us pretty much. Now, go back to the slavery in the Arab world again. We're going to go to page 5. Left off at page 5. We're going to read on down. You probably want to see the white folks came and saved us. Give me Jeremiah 15:11. They came and saved us. See, they're not all bad. No, this is not a conversation about good or bad. This is a conversation about the fact that we weren't slave ships according to prophecy, as the Bible says, and that proves that we're the Israelites. Pretty much, that's the whole point, the premise of this whole topic here. Jeremiah 15:11.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 15 and verse 11. The Lord said, verily, it shall be well with thy remnant. Verily, I will cause the enemy to entreat thee well in the time of evil and in the time of affliction.
That's what this is. They entreated us well in the time of our evil, which is our enslavement. So I will have them treat you well, because if the Most High had Esau in his true nature, we'd have been killed off entirely. He would have rooted us out of the earth. They would have killed every last one of us, men, women, and child, without question, without any form of impunity. They would have killed us all. So the Lord said, I'm gonna put a spirit on them to be merciful unto you and save you from Arabs and from each other also. That's what I'll do. Now, read that here. Slave trade, although
the number of blacks who fell victim to Muslim slave traders can never be determined, there is little doubt that the figures ran to several millions over the centuries that the traffic was carried on. Between 1770 and the end of the 19th century, the period about which most is known about the Indian Ocean traffic, it has been estimated that approximately 1.25 million blacks were shipped to Africa's east coast, Kenya and Tanzania.
yeah, it would be Tanzania today. Go ahead.
Slightly less than half this number was exported to destinations outside Africa, with the balance accounted for by the proliferating demand by plantation owners on the coast.
Come on.
The introduction of the clove culture in Zanzibar by Omani Arabs in the early part of the 19th century transformed the island into a major importer of slaves.
So cloves, they had us dealing in the clove. You were plantations of cloves. They had us dealing in cloves. The Omani Arabs were heavily involved. It says here Read that part again. Read that part again. Said the introduction of the clove.
The introduction of the clove culture in Zanzibar.
Zanzibar is that island I showed y'all last week. Is a beautiful island. It was densely populated with us in that area. They called it Zanzibar, meaning land of the blacks. So black means region of the blacks, black region. That's what it meant. Read on.
By Omani Arabs in the early part of the 19th century, transformed the island into a major importer of slaves.
They conquered the island and they enslaved us on it. Go ahead.
As this market grew in importance and with demand for slaves from the more traditional markets in the Muslim world.
In the what?
In the Muslim world.
Muslim world. In the Muslim world. Go ahead.
Continuing undiminished, the East Coast and its vast hinterland took on an even greater importance as a source for slaves.
Come on.
So thoroughly were many parts of the region combed by Arab slavers.
It was combed. Regions were combed. They were looking for us meticulously. Damn. Trying to find a particular group of us within Africa. They combed Africa. They weren't just snatching up random Negroes and putting them on a ship. They were trying to find specific groups of Israelites within Africa to enslave and to sell. They knew who they were after. I proved this to y'all last week with the encyclopedia. Go ahead.
That whole areas were depopulated.
Whole areas were depopulated by Arabs. I mention it all the time. Lam was one of them. Zanzibar was another one. Go ahead.
Africa was exporting its human capital through other routes as well. Uncounted thousands were shipped across.
Uncounted. That means it was more than just millions. It was millions of us being shipped. Unaccounted for. Unrecorded. Unlisted. Go ahead.
Were shipped across the Sahara to Barbary.
So Barbary, that'd be Maghreb, that'd be Western Africa. Go ahead, Northwest Africa, go ahead.
Down the Nile to Egypt.
Go ahead.
And from ports on the Red Sea to Arabia.
So you had slave ports on the Red Sea to Arabia. Down the Nile to the Red Sea to Arabia. Slave ports. Go ahead, I'll show them to y'all. Go ahead.
Many were sold as slaves in these countries, and untold others were resold to traders who transported them to Turkey.
Turkey, Ottoman Turks. Go ahead.
Syria.
Syria. That's the Afro-Syrians put over there. Go ahead. Afro-Turks. Go ahead, I'll get that in a minute. Go ahead.
The Persian Gulf region.
Persian Gulf. Go ahead.
And as far east as India.
India. Go ahead.
In light of this, it is puzzling indeed that the Muslim-dominated slave trade has been shunted off into an obscure corner of historiography.
The author's saying it is puzzling indeed that the Muslim-dominated slave trade has been shunned off into an obscure corner of historiography. Meaning, why it's so amazing. They sold millions of slaves off in this part of the world, and it's unspoken of. Because they don't want you to know. Just keep the slave trade on one part of the world, not this side. Because then we'll all be held accountable. Give me Isaiah 11 now. It mentioned us being sold off as far as Turkey, Syria, Persian Gulf, and India. That's what the Lord said this in prophecy through Isaiah. Isaiah 11, verse 11.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 11.
One verse can say so many things. Watch this.
And it shall come to pass in that day,
In the end of times. Go ahead.
that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time.
The Lord will set his hand again the second time to recover all 12 tribes like he did out of Egypt. He saved all 12 tribes out of Egypt. He's going to do it again. That's why it says a second time. Because there was no other time before that. But in between, Israel was split and divided. He saved all 12. He spared 3 when the northern kingdom got destroyed and scattered abroad. So his second time is referring to the last days, the time we're in now. We're approaching that time now where God will deliver us as a whole the second time, like he did in Egypt the first time with Egypt. Read on.
To recover the remnant of his...
To recover the remnant. Because the bulk of Israel is where? Here. The bulk of Israel is here, and the remnants of that bulk are scattered everywhere else. That's why they spend so much of their time keeping this history here secret. Everyone outside America knows we're Jews. You can't go to Germany and say, I'm an Israelite. They go, you're lying. They go, okay, we know that already. It's common knowledge among the Indians and Arabs and the Germans and Russians that we're Jews. They got us painted over their damn walls. Yeah. But in America, we're in a bubble because they know that the tribe of Judah, the royal line, the prophets in them, they're in America. The bulk of them are in America. We must keep that bulk in blindness. But the remnant of them, there's small numbers among the nations. It don't matter. But the 12 tribes in America are majority. And the prophets are here. This word spread from here. It is spread from Africa. The word of God spread from here. The royal line of David is here. The royal line of Benjamin is here. The royal line of Aaron is here. The royal line of Ephraim is here. All the royal lines, nobles are here. Especially Judah, who's instrumental in bringing about the end of the times. That tribe alone, the Lord said, I'm going to use that tribe to get everybody gathered together. And they are brought here. Now, is Israel in Africa? Yes. Is Judah in Africa?
Right.
Yes. Is Judah in Russia? Yes. Is Judah in Spain? Yes. Is Judah in Greece? Yes. But not the ones they're looking for. Not the ones that Esau is afraid of. The prophets of Judah, the royal line of Judah is in America, and the bulk of the 12 tribes are here, and so we are kept in darkness amongst all the rest. That's why he says I'm going to recover the remnant the second time and recover the remnant. We don't watch this.
And recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria.
Why is he saying left? He's going to save the bulk first, then go and save the rest. It says the remnant. It says in the rest. Read again. Sorry. Read again.
Yes, sir. To recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria.
Stop there. Assyria is found in between 4 places: Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Now, within those 4, you have Afro-Turks, but they're in slavery. Afro-Syrians, slavery. Afro-Iraqis, slavery. Afro-Iranians, slavery. That's Assyria. Those 4 groups alone, our people are found in them areas. That's why it says Assyria here, because we're found in the region, in those regions alone made up the kingdom of Assyria. In between, or Kurdistan, the Kurds, Israel's there. That's the point. Next one. Read on.
And from Egypt.
Egypt will be Egypt. That will be Lower Egypt, yes?
Upper.
Lower, that's Lower Egypt. Egypt here is Lower Egypt.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Right?
Let's pull it up.
Let's pull it up. Yeah.
Egypt today is Lower Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt today is Lower Egypt. We're there. Remember, we showed y'all earlier how they brought the slaves to Egypt over here. Let's get a map. This thing is very, very retarded and confusing. I was talking with them yesterday about it, and I'm going to keep on asking y'all every other week about it because I'm going to keep forgetting, and I'm not going to, I don't care.
Type in Pathros.
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
So apparently, y'all can't explain, man. Explain.
Well, Upper Egypt, like leadership has always stated, Upper Egypt's called Upper Egypt, even though it's at the bottom because the river flows down from the mountains of Ethiopia down into the Mediterranean. So Upper Egypt is actually the bottom portion of Egypt, which is Sudan today. And then Lower Egypt is what we call Egypt today.
Right, with the pyramids and all that.
Yep. That's the lowlands.
Right.
Where where we were at.
And we've been reading all this time so far that they brought slaves to these areas.
I got a map. Y'all ain't talking, man.
Just Google it.
My man studying hard. I see his face over there.
He over there staring at the screen like.
He say, how you
Right.
spell Egypt?
Type in Pathros. Pathros.
Pathros. Pathros. I pray the Lord shows up and destroys all Philly schools first when he gets here. They did nothing for us.
Man. So there you go. There you have it. There's Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt at the bottom. Like
Right, Upper Egypt's at the bottom and Lower Egypt's at the top. It's crazy, man. So Lower Egypt is the top. It's
crazy.
Upper Egypt is the bottom. That's why I say it's confusing. Lower Egypt is the top. Lower Egypt is north. Upper Egypt is south. All right, so Aswan, that's Sudan. That area, upper is Sudan, and lower is just what Egypt we all know of as the pyramids, where we were slaves. But Sudan and Egypt is one landmass.
And
All right.
And Aswan, as in the scriptures, you
Yeah.
refer to as Sayin.
Yeah, Bible
Sayin.
refers to Aswan as Sayin in Ezekiel 29 and 10. But we'll get to that in a minute. Read again. So from where? Assyria,
sir.
where else?
From Assyria and from Egypt
Egypt, meaning that goes into, that's lower Egypt. Go ahead.
and from Pathros
Pathros would be Sudan. That's upper Egypt. That's Sudan. Go ahead.
and from Cush
Cush will be Ethiopia, which is next door. Ethiopia. Go ahead. Or Eritrea. Go ahead.
and from Elam
Elam would be India or Persia. Persian Gulf is the same thing. That's the Bible's they brought slaves here. Persian Gulf, India, same. Elam, go ahead.
and from Shinar
Shinar would be Iraq, Afro-Iraqis, go ahead.
and from Hamath
Hamath is Syria, central Syria, brought slaves there. Go ahead.
and from the islands of the sea.
That's where bishop and leadership is now. They're on the islands of the sea, out here bringing the word of God out to our people scattered on the Polynesian islands, the Mediterranean islands, the Atlantic, the St. Thomas. We're on the islands of the sea. The islands you think of, we're on them. We're there.
Right.
We are there. Zanzibar is an island. Seychelles is an island. Mauritius is an island. Hawaii is an island. Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, Cape Verde, St. Thomas, Canary Islands. We are there. We are on the islands of the sea. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel,
In these areas, go ahead.
and gather together the dispersed of Judah
From where?
from the four corners of the earth.
No other nation can make a boast that they were sold in slavery and scattered in all four corners of the earth. No nation can make that boast. None. Only us. So the Bible's a true book. And these records here prove the Bible's a true book. They brought the slaves to the exact same areas Isaiah prophesied they were going to be saved from.
Hey, D,
Yeah.
that's why the scripture says, and we shall never be ashamed.
Yep.
The thing that they try to shame us with is what proves that we're the children of God.
Yep. Yep. Now get me go back to slavery.
wanna go back to the book?
Yeah, the Arab world, yeah. Slavery in the Arab world. We were at
This dimension.
This dimension.
This dimension of the slave trade, it is worth noting, is not unique in the relative neglect it has suffered from at the hands of Western historians. There has been a similar tendency to gloss over the widespread practice of slavery and the extensive traffic in slaves that were carried on in Africa itself. It could be argued that
Meaning it's covered up, it's hidden, it's dismissed. Even in terms of West Africa. Go ahead.
It could be argued that the reticence of Western historians to probe deeply into these two aspects of the slave trade is the result of a bad conscience.
Guilt, white guilt. Go ahead.
To make them the object of close scrutiny might be construed by Africans and Arabs as an artful attempt to draw attention away from the transatlantic trade and the shameful role that Europeans and Americans had in it.
Right, go ahead.
This reason is somewhat far-fetched in regard to the slave trade and slavery in Africa. Europeans, to be sure, did not introduce slavery or the slave trade in Africa. These institutions have been an established feature of life long before the arrival of the Europeans. Both slavery and the slave trade were known to have existed in the major states and empires of the West African Sudan from the 11th to the 16th century. Slavery, however, is practiced in much of African society.
Wait, I'm sorry. Both slavery and the slave trade were known to have existed in the major states and empires of the West African Sudan. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Read on.
From the 11th to the 16th century.
Come on.
Slavery, however, is practiced in much of African society was far more benign than its Western counterpart. Slaves were to a great extent integrated into the family who owned them, and they performed much the same domestic and farm chores as did other members of the family.
This is in reference to us having our own people as servants. They were not the same slavery as the Europeans had us in. Because he's still trying to compare. Oh, there was slavery before we got there. Not the same slavery you put us under. The slavery that white folks had us under was perpetual. The slavery that we had each other under was temporary or debt. Indenture. There was an indentured servitude. You were a war captive, you worked off your debt. Okay, you fought against, you got to pay up there was a war going on, there's damages done. So whoever survives the war has to work off the damages that they caused fighting against each other. It was not the same. It was not the same.
And they became pretty much family.
Yeah, it's the same people. Go ahead. It's like Jeffrey and Uncle Phil. Benson. That's the slavery he's referring to. Go ahead.
By and large, blacks, whether enslaved by pagans or Muslims, enjoyed certain civic and personal rights which the master could not easily ignore. It was, for example, not uncommon for slaves to marry, farm their own plots of land, earn money, and even maintain a limited freedom of action and movement.
Yeah, because they were working off a debt. Go ahead.
In parts of Africa,
Well, here we go. Watch. It's going to say it.
In parts of Africa, slavery bore strong similarities to the institution of serfdom.
Watch.
That was widespread in Europe during the Middle Ages.
Now, give me Exodus 21. Here's an example of serfdom in the Bible. Verse 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 21 and verse 1.
We'll read the verse 3.
Now, these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy an Hebrew servant,
Serf. Same thing. Go ahead.
6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing.
That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with
You have
him.
a family. She can leave with him. Go ahead.
You want it to verse 3 or keep going?
Read verse 4.
Okay. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free.
I won't leave. Go ahead.
Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever.
This is not bondage.
Chattel slavery here.
It's not chattel slavery. This is all will. This is willful.
Deacon, he said, I love my master. I don't want to go out free.
Yeah, I wanna
Obviously,
stay.
he's treating them a
I
certain
want to stay.
Like
Right.
family.
And these are brothers. This is Israelites. This is all family here. It's not some, I'm gonna have you in chains and take your wife from you, rape your wife in front of you, molest your child. That's not what this is. There's no comparison. We don't go to the book now.
In parts of Africa, slavery bore strong similarities to the institution of serfdom that was widespread in Europe during the Middle Ages.
We did the same thing when we ruled in Europe too. Go ahead.
Some Africans, such as the Crew on the West Coast and the Fang, even boasted of never having known of slavery among their people, and even more of having nothing to do with the trafficking in slaves.
We made a bull. We never did that to our people. We would never do that to our own kind, what white folks did to us, or what the Arabs did to us. We boasted it. Our servitude was different from how y'all do us. Now, go to jump to page 8. Page 7? That was 6 or 7.
In the non-Muslim parts of Africa, there was a widespread custom of burying alive one or two young slaves with the body of a chief who has died.
Well, that's Hamites. That's them Egyptians. Sam Hamites do that to us. Jump down to the people of the blacks, moreover.
The blacks, moreover, were not strangers to the slave trade. They were known to have exchanged their fellow human beings for Arab wares long before the Europeans set foot in Africa. The people of Lemlem, observed one writer, are being perpetually invaded by their neighbors who take them as slaves.
Stop. The people of Lemlem what?
The people of Lemlem, observed one writer, are being perpetually invaded by their
It
neighbors.
says perpetually invaded by their neighbors. You read it earlier where it said that whole lands were depopulated. Why? Because Ishmael would come through and would raid it over and over and over and over again. Dang. So why is there such focus on Lemlem? Get the map real quick, Gabi. Being perpetually invaded by their neighbors who take them as slaves. Who are they raiding or invading and taking into perpetual slavery? Let's go over. Blow it up. This is a map of Israel, where Israelites are scattered. Blow it up some. Bring it close into the left. Move it over. There we go. Right there. See that? Lam. Once a what? Jewish colony. Why the saying once? Because they were depopulated by Arab invaders. They were selling. That's why I said in the book earlier, it said they were combing Africa. For what? for Israelites to sell. Lam Lam, right next to Timbuktu. Lam Lam, once a Jewish colony, and right under it is a Ghanaian kingdom, a Jewish kingdom, right above it. The Arabs invaded and conquered that area and made it a slave trading area. That's why most of the top half of Africa is Arabs and Turks. What was being done to them right now by the Israelis, they did to us and during this time. I don't care about them. I don't care for either side. Because both of them are colonizers. Both of them are liars and colonizers. Both of them are imposters in the land that don't belong to them. Both of them. Both parties are guilty. Work it out. Figure it out. Anyway, where we at? Go back to the book and carry them off.
The people of Lemlem, observe one writer, are being perpetually invaded by their neighbors who take them as slaves and carry them off to their own lands to sell them by the dozens to the merchants.
To sell them by the dozens to the merchants. Go ahead.
Every year, great numbers of them are sent off to the Western Maghreb.
Every year, great numbers of them are sent off to the Western, meaning they were brought over to Mauritania. They were shipped from Lam Lam and brought further west to Mauritania. All right, or Morocco, whatever. Same place, the Maghreb. Go ahead.
In early times, such transactions did not involve great number of blacks. The victims were often prisoners of wars, common criminals, or troublemakers. This was to change with the coming of the Europeans. There is considerable evidence that the traffic in slaves, notably in large areas of West Africa, was more the consequence of European demand for slaves and less the result of indigenous practice.
So over time, it went from fighting in wars to they need us because white folks were paying heavy dollar for us. So it went from, rather than being war back and forth between the Arabs and us, fighting back and forth, and they take us as captives for that reason, it went from that to these white folks need slaves. Let's get this supply and demand. Let's get them some slaves, and that's what your whole what do they call it? Your the Arabs call it. They call it holy war.
The jihad.
The jihad. So jihads began. The demand for slaves was the jihad, waging wars on non-Muslim communities of Israelites in Africa and selling them to white folks. Jihads. Go ahead.
The commercialization of the West African slave trade on a transoceanic basis had the effect of luring African slave traders into the expanding web of the Europeans. These traders thus became the victims of the relentless workings of the European-driven slave machine.
Come on.
Calling attention to the African slave trade could not have the effect, even if intended, of obscuring from view the transatlantic slave trade. Both were inextricably linked to one another.
They linked to one another. Read it from the top.
Calling attention to the African slave trade.
African slave trade as the trans-Saharan slave trade. Go ahead.
Could not have the effect, even if intended, of obscuring from view the transatlantic slave trade.
The trans-Saharan slave trade and the Atlantic slave trade. Go ahead.
Both were inextricably linked to one another.
One ties into the other. One could not have happened without the other. The Arabs were the forerunners of the transatlantic slave trade, especially the Muslims. Go ahead.
The African trade implicated the Europeans, who benefited from it, no less than the black traders,
Hamites,
who in exchange for the white man's artifacts showed no scruples in enslaving other blacks.
Right, go ahead.
By contrast, focusing on the Muslim-dominated trade.
Focusing on the what?
The Muslim-dominated trade.
Focusing on the Muslim-dominated trade. Go ahead.
Could do very little to show up Europeans and Americans in a bad light.
Meaning that even though that was bad, it doesn't top the European slave trade. The Atlantic slave trade is far worse. But it was just as bad. Both sides just as bad. Right. There's no, that one's worse than that one. They're both terrible, regardless. And I say Ishmael's is worse because it's happening now. It's longer. So I say it's worse. Read on.
Except in certain instances, as when French and Portuguese merchants acquired slaves from Arab traders for their sugar plantations in the Mascarene Islands and Brazil. Even European slave traders had little to do with their Arabian counterparts. The Arab slave traders...
Not all Europeans dealt with the Arabs. Most of the Portuguese and Spanish did. Go ahead.
The Arab slave traders operated within fairly well-established commercial circuits, which were oriented mainly to supplying the demands of Muslim countries.
Come on.
It was this vast market that provided the underpinning of the slave trade in West, Central, and East Africa. Beginning in the 19th century, the European maritime nations, led by England and gradually joined by others, used their power to curtail and finally end the Muslim traffic in slaves.
They tried to. It hasn't stopped. Go ahead.
This laudable objective, which was later merged with narrow colonial ambitions, prompted these powers to suppress slavery itself in Africa. British diplomacy, often backed by naval power, contributed much to getting Muslim leaders in Oman, Persia, Zanzibar, and the Ottoman Empire to put an end to slavery in these lands.
Publicly, but privately, they're still doing it. It's not stopped. Go ahead.
As shall be seen, it took England the better part of the 19th century to rid the Indian Ocean of the traffic in slaves. The British pursued this anti-slavery campaign in this region only so far and fast as it meshed with its larger diplomatic strategy of assuring their primacy on the East African coast.
Right. Their whole premise of stopping it was because it was interfering with their business of colonizing other lands. They didn't care about niggas. It was about business. You guys, this slave stuff is causing problems, man. You gotta cut this out. We trying to take some lands over here. This is disruptive. That was the whole premise of it, really. Go ahead.
The Red Sea and Persian Gulf. Abolishing slavery and the slave trade in these increasingly important regions was subordinate to the political imperative of safeguarding the lines of transportation to India and promoting British economic interests. These self-serving policies have, for the most part, been glossed over in British textbooks, which depict England as the dauntless foe of the Indian Ocean slave traffic.
Because again, by the Arabs having power over the slave trade, when you run the slave trade, you run the sea. So Britain's like, hey, listen, hey, this is our sea now. Y'all gotta cut this out. That's the whole point of saving us, to rescuing us from the Arabs' foes, to gain supremacy over the ocean, because Britain took over India and so forth. That became their sea. It says the dauntless foe of the Indian Ocean slave traffic. A slave trade that's not taught about in school. Go ahead.
In light of this, writing about the Muslim role in the slave trade could scarcely evoke bad memories about a Western tie to this trade.
No one knows about that. Go ahead.
The trade was essentially a Muslim enterprise.
It was essentially a Muslim enterprise. That's why I say all the time, we had a meeting with our brothers in Islam a few days back, a few weeks ago. We agreed more than we disagreed on certain things. But my main gripe with the Nation of Islam is not my people who are in Islam, but the ideology and the people that it derives from. My hatred is towards them, and my anger is towards them. Now, whether our brothers know about this history or not, I don't know. But when it comes to Muhammad and his kind and those Ishmaelites, some Arabs, I have no care for them. Yeah. For this very reason for what we're reading right here, I have no care for them. Palestinian, Pakistani, whatever you want to call them. I have no care for them for this very reason. Because they know these things. If you ask them, they'll stay quick. If you don't ask, they have a it's in this book too. They have among their nation a don't ask, don't tell. If you don't ask, they won't tell. I've asked Arabs, hey, listen, who's your forefather? Oh, my forefather is Ishmael. So that sounds great. It's like, yes. Our history is very extensive. I say, yes, indeed. I said, who's my forefather? Oh, brother, we are all children of God. No, I didn't ask you that. Your forefather is Ishmael, right? Yes. Who's my forefather? And the furthest I've gotten was, we're all children of Abraham. I said, okay, that's good. Now we're getting somewhere. Which child of Abraham am I? Because you're Ishmael, right? Firstborn. Cool. Who am I? The furthest I've gotten in that conversation was Isaac. I said, which son? He was like, he wouldn't answer. Because they're told not to. We are a practical joke. Everyone knows the joke but us. Arabs know, Syrians know, French, everyone knows who we are but us. Damn. It's sad. It's sickening. The furthest I've gotten in questioning Ishmael or Turks is Isaac. They wouldn't dare. I mean, there was one time heard a story of this brother that was once with us. Him and his father was in the truth. They're somewhere now. I'm not sure where they are now. And they told this so-called Israeli, they said, yo, you know we're the Jews, right? You know you guys aren't the real Jews, right? And the Edomite said to him, yeah, I know, but we got it now. We got the land now, so we know you guys who you guys are, but we got it now. Those are his exact words. We got it now. So they know. They know exactly who they are. They know exactly who we are. But since there's not enough people, it's not enough about people around to care, it don't matter. Let's go back. Where we at?
The trade was essentially a Muslim enterprise. Arabs hunted for slaves in the vast spaces of Africa.
They hunted for slaves. They combed Africa for Israelites. Go ahead.
Or acquired them from middlemen to sell in the markets of the Muslim world.
They required our people or Hamites, because you had sellout niggas too. Give me Exodus 22 and 16. Because you had Evil and Jake that was also involved on a minor scale.
For money.
For money. They were the middlemen. But then they ended up getting sold themselves. Stupid Negroes.
The book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 16.
No. It's 21.
Oh, sorry.
21:16. I'm sorry. I said 22. No, start 21:16.
Yes, 21 and verse 16.
It's the law regarding Israel. Watch.
And he that stealeth a man,
He that steals a man, our people, go ahead.
and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
So the law on our people was if you took your brother and sold him as a slave and got caught, you got put to death for that. So you had evil-ass Israelites who were somewhat involved on a minor scale in this trade too, middlemen. But then what happened to them? They got sold too. They got conquered and sold too. There was a brief miniseries that came on TV called Book of the Negroes. Very good movie. And when you watch this show, it's based upon a sister, of course, and they feminized it. But when you watch the show, it's called Book of the Negroes. It's about a 6-part miniseries. And the sister, she got captured by a young boy, right? And I think he snatched her up and he gave her to the Hamites. And she's on a boat and she's crying. And when she looks up across the ship, he's sitting there crying with a black eye because he had her captured. His ass got captured along with her. Then they got married later on. In the movie, they get married and so forth, have babies and stuff. But the point is that Jake tried it, but they weren't successful. So people go, well, you guys sold yourselves. I said, I mean, on a minor scale, yeah, but they weren't. What happened?
A lot of times also, Deke, a lot of times Esau docked on the coast. So when they docked on the coast, like, for example, Wida. So when they docked on the coast of Wida, that was our land and so forth. Mm-hmm. Ham was around us. But that's what happened with Dahomey. Dahomey wanted to get free reign to Esau in order to sell us more. Mm-hmm. But we were like the middlemen. We were the toll to get to, for him to get to Esau.
Edom, yeah.
So we were like the toll. So we was part of the trade in a sense because we were the toll to get to that, to make the passage. So, but instead
we allowed it.
We allowed it.
We allowed the trading.
But sometimes we was like, nah, because they were selling our people, so we had some type of compassion, like, yo, nah, y'all selling our people.
Yeah.
But we got caught up in it.
You start fighting among ourselves, and then they use that, and we end up selling us too. Show that picture again. You show the picture of that sister. That's the book. That's the show right there. Guys can look forward and watch it. If you had an Android, you can go on Fire Stick. You know what I mean? Go on Fire Stick. You can watch it for free. You ain't got an iPhone or all that. Anyway,
D taking shots. Come on.
iPhone doesn't know how to do that. But anyway, just show the image here. Yeah, it's called Book of the Negroes. It's based upon. That's the husband right there in the bottom. Her husband right there in the corner. Not Cuba Gooding, but the guy in the bottom left. That's her husband. He sold her and got sold himself. Very good. It goes into the history of us being brought back to. She got dropped off in Nova Scotia, in Canada, and she got brought back to I think Liberia. Either Liberia or Sierra Leone. She got dropped over there. And when she went back home to her village, it was destroyed. There was no one left. They were gone. And he and her husband ends up, I won't spoil for y'all, but her husband, things happen, whatever. And it's a pretty good miniseries. Very good. Very good. All right, very good miniseries. You see a scar on her face? You see a scar right there, a tribal scar on her cheek? We read earlier about the scarification. We read earlier in that book, the scarifications. They could tell who's who. By the scarifications also. You see a scar on her cheek right there. Yep, that's our people also doing stupidness. But let's go back to where we were at.
The existence of slavery in Muslim society, and by implication, the trafficking in slaves, moreover, found sanction in the Quran and
Sharia.
in the Sharia.
Sharia.
The body of Islamic law.
So the Quran sanctioned the enslavement of our people if we were not Muslims ourselves. Read on.
The limited interest shown in treating the Muslim
The time frame.
Yes, sir.
The time's sake.
The time frame of the Muslim-dominated slave trade, unlike that of the transatlantic slave trade, which lasted from the middle of the 15th to the last third of the 19th century, stretched back more than a millennium and carried over well into this century. The Indian Ocean and trans-Saharan traffic, moreover, involved many countries, a good number of which sprang from ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
The journey back into this distant past is longer, and the stops along the way more numerous than anything we know about the Atlantic trade. The latter conjures up the names of such port cities as Liverpool, London,
Nantes,
and Charleston, to mention but a few, which wax rich on the ill-gotten gains of the slave trade. These are familiar places whose role in the slave trade is well known to every college student in the West.
So we went over this before. We went over Liverpool. We touched on London. We touched on Nantes. We touched on Charleston. Go ahead.
And the Indian Ocean and trans-Saharan trade, on the other hand,
On the other side, watch this.
call forth such exotic places as
Kilwa.
Zanzibar, Fazan, Sur,
Kazan is Fez. Go ahead.
Tripoli,
Tripoli's north. That's the top of Africa. The top. Or Tunisia today. Go ahead.
and Alexandria,
Egypt. Go ahead.
which to most Westerners are storybook names. That slavery and the slave trade exist in these far-off places would scarcely arouse their indignation. Such practices would seem to be of a piece with the tales of the 1,001 Nights, who myths have pretty much made do for what passes as knowledge for these places and civilization.
1,001 Nights. I think it's an Arab story or something. What page is this? 10? Oh, no. Yeah, page 9. I want 9. That's page 10 there. I want 9.
That was 9.
That was 9? Okay, stop there. Well, give me Psalms 83. So, this is a whole network of nations who are involved. That book, this said earlier that there were nations, ancient civilizations and nations were involved in this trade. Whether the Atlantic Ocean or the Indian or trans-Saharan slave trade, these nations were involved. Psalms 83 and verse 2.
The book of
We're
Psalms,
going to break after this.
chapter 83 and verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies, he's saying, so this is Asaph speaking to the Lord, prophesying in the Lord. Thine, as in God's enemies, make a tumult. Go ahead.
And they that hate thee
They that hate you, God, and your people. Go ahead.
have lifted up the
They've
head.
gained pride, power, authority. Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel
And in the midst of them gaining authority and power, they've taken crafty counsel. Go ahead.
against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. That's how you know or know why the Arabs were able to comb through Africa and find us in our colonies and areas and our neighborhoods in Africa, because they knew where we were based upon this counsel we're reading about here. The Portuguese went through Africa. How did they know where to find us? There was a general meeting, a council. Read on.
And have consulted against thy hidden ones.
Why are we called hidden ones? Because of the crafty counsel of our enemies. It's going to say in the next verse.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Come, let us cut them off from being a nation. So what happens to us? We become what? Hidden ones. Once we're cut off from being a people, a nation. Go ahead.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That they wipe out our existence, and any knowledge of us ever being Israelites is removed from history and removed from our minds. So they gave us Christianity, they gave us Islam. Because when you're in Islam, we're all children of God. When you're in Christianity, we're all children of God. The white man knows where he's from in Christianity. The Arab man knows where he's from in Islam, but the Negro knows nothing about where he's from. We're just some ambiguous race of niggas. They don't know who they are, where they're from. We're just here. We just exist. We're freaking NPCs damn near. Non-playable characters. We're what do they call them in the back? They call them in the movies.
Extras.
Extras. I mean, extras. We are a nationwide extras. We're a fractured race of people. We're not a community. To be a community means you have a common unity. That's what community means. That's what community means. Common unity. We don't have that. We're not a community. We are a fractured race of people. Damn. Why? Read verse 4 again.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Come on.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So our nation, our identity has been erased from us, from existence. To those to whom it should matter, it don't matter no more because we forgot. We've been destroyed based upon the crafty counsel. The Portuguese brought Christianity to us. The Muslims brought Islam to us. The Hamites brought voodoo to us, which is still damn Christian church regardless.
Yep. No different.
The Chinese brought Buddhism to us. Elon brought Hinduism to us. Even though, we bought, well, that's us too. But I guess you could say the corrupt version they brought to us. Or the Israelis bring Judaism, false Judaism to us now. Politics to us now. Read on.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
They all got together with one consent. Go ahead.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against you, God, and your people, who they form crafty counsel against. Go ahead.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The number one on God's hit list of this crafty counsel, of this confederacy. All the time you see that flag, the Confederate flag, you think it's all Europeans? Nah. Europeans, all nations are confederate. United Nations, all nations are confederate. Even the coon clowns of Africa that are our people in that damn council, them too. Because they make money out of it. Read again.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom. Edom. As in the so-called white man. The red man. Go ahead.
And the Ishmaelites.
Number 2, as always, is the Ishmaelites. In historical case, the Portuguese, Spanish, and then the Arabs, Omani Arabs or Turks. Read on.
Of Moab.
Moab will be your Chinese. Remember, we read earlier about them bringing us over to China. Go ahead.
And the Hagarenes.
That'll be your Muslims, your Islamic Arabs. A branch of Ishmael. Go ahead.
Gebal.
Gebal's Hamites. Dahomey. That's an example. Go ahead.
And Ammon.
Ammon will be your Japanese. Go ahead.
And Amalek.
Amalek will be your so-called, the Israelis today. Go ahead.
The Philistines.
Philistines are going to Hamites or Arabs today also now. Palestinians, go ahead.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
That's all I want. So, these nations primarily, there's 10 in total, these nations primarily were heavily involved in the Confederacy in making sure that we forget who we are as a people. Lose our identity. Even the history we're reading now, this history is not something that's taught. The Trans-Pacific slave trade, that's not really taught or shared. It's glossed over and dismissed. So I'll land on that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. So stay tuned with us. We got more for y'all. We got some more stuff to go over, so stay tuned. Be patient. All right? And don't forget to donate. Don't forget to donate. Point to the thing, King. Come on, point. You know, I can't point to that thing. It's somewhere over there. Right. Yeah. Just donate. You know, be a cheerful giver. Give what you can, when you can, how you can. For us to travel, reach our people in these lands. Booster Club. Also for the land fund. We're trying to build some land and so on and so forth. Get ourselves, more. What do you say? What I'm looking for? The word I'm looking for.
Self-efficient.
Yeah, self-sufficient. Thank you. Self-sufficient. We're trying to do that. So if you can, please be a cheerful giver, all right? Shalom, most high, Christ bless. We'll see you in a few.
Queremos unificar la familia para tener una nación unificada con Dios.
Su pueblo es posesivo, ¿okay? No todo el mundo es el pueblo de Dios, sino las 12 tribus de Israel.
¿Lo llamará qué? Jesús. Jesús. ¿Por qué lo llamaron Jesús? Porque Él salvará a su pueblo. ¿Salvará a quién? A su pueblo. No, a todo el mundo. Su pueblo.
Callao, pregúntenle. ¿A dónde estamos nosotros en la Biblia? ¿Dónde se encuentran los argentinos en la Biblia?
Un cuerpo y un espíritu, como fuisteis también llamados.
Como 4 o 5 mil denominaciones de religiones del cristianismo, es un cuerpo, es un espíritu,
en una misma esperanza.
una misma esperanza.
Del cristianismo y catolicismo, ellos hablan mucho de las 12 tribus de Israel. ¿Existan todavía? Y si existan, ¿quién son esos tribus hoy en día? Nosotros sabemos eso por medio de la Biblia y estamos buscando el remanente de las 12 tribus de Israel.
Other gods, even wood and stone. What's an example of that God? My sister, I have a question for you. How did Jesus Christ look according to the Bible?
On your neck. Did that not happen to us in history? Did that not happen to our people in Nigeria?
Jews were here incarnate. In the book of Exodus, the Most High commanded Moses to make 7-branch menorah.
This is the Bible. You're gonna bring the destruction of the Arabic man. You're gonna bring the destruction of the Chinese. Toi, tu vas amener la destruction des Blancs, la destruction des Arabes, la destruction des Japonais, la destruction des Chinois. C'est toi qui vas l'amener parce que tu es un Dieu. You are God.
We're here to cast down all lies, to bring out the word of God, show that all these other gods the nation serves are no God. There's only one true God, the God of the Israelites. So here, we put you on notice. The word of God will be revealed to the people who is the devil on.
Y como Moisés levantó la serpiente en el desierto, así es necesario que el Hijo del Hombre sea levantado.
Así de la misma forma, el mismo propósito, es necesario que Cristo sea levantado.
Enseñan por dinero. ¿Y sabe qué? Lo hacen con la Biblia cerrada. Así es. Mas sin embargo los profetas están aquí hoy como estaban en los días antiguos.
Estamos en contra de esas cosas. Queremos purificar a la pareja. Queremos purificar la familia para tener una nación purificada por Dios.
Desde el tiempo de Cristóbal Colón, ¿verdad? Me engañaron con qué? Con esta imagen que está aquí. Nos dijeron que este es Jesucristo y nosotros lo cogemos como verdad.
Hizo esto y dijo que yo voy a empezar este libro con la genealogía de mi hijo. Hay un propósito por eso. ¿Por qué no preguntamos esas cosas? Porque estamos perdidos en engaños que trajeron los conquistadores del catolicismo y del cristianismo.
Así es.
The white man that came and raped, robbed, and murdered, stole all your resources, stole the land of St. Vincent, put you in slavery. The white man is the devil. Color and woolly in texture.
You love and trust no pressure. Yeah. World War III is coming. Together, and every mountain and island will move out of their places. So what do you know that's going to be able to move mountains, move islands out of their place? Bring it out! Or what?
We're back from the break. All praise to the Lord. All right, so all praises. So if you want to call in at call in through Zoom call and text us at 267-702-6121. That's 267-702-6121. You can text us, so you can also Zoom call in as well. Zoom in as well. And if you have any any questions you want regarding the topic thus far, let's go to the Arabs slave trade again. The slave trade again, page 11. Oh, you want to get something, right, Jazz, about the lam lam?
Yeah, we could do it real quick.
Let's do it. Let's pull that up regarding lam lam.
Yeah, just to land back off of what Deacon was bringing out about lam lam. Also, when he was going into how they combed through Africa and they knew who we were. So go to the last page. Last one. It's the last thing I posted. Yeah, so as Deacon was bringing out in Psalms 83, they know who we were. They know who we are. They still know who we are. So when they come together, they targeting one nation, which was us in Africa. Watch this. I'm going to start at among the commodities.
Among the commodities brought to Timbuktu, Mr. Jackson mentions gold rings of Wangara, the first modern notice that has occurred to us of a trade so celebrated in the time of the Arabians.
Right, the time of the Arabians. That's when they started conquering North Africa, right, and coming down into our lands. Go ahead.
Mr. Jackson mentions the countries of Lam Lam.
So Deacon was just bringing out about Lam Lam. Remember it said black slaves were sold from Lam Lam, right? Go ahead.
And Meli. Not in the
Meli is today Mali. All right, go ahead.
Not in the erroneous position of Leo, but as fixed by the Arabs.
As fixed by the Arabs, because they know who we were there. Go ahead.
And adds that they are reported to be inhabited by one of the lost tribes of Israel.
Just to show you they know who we are. They know who they was targeting the whole time. That's what Deacon bringing out. All right, so they don't act like it was just black people. Random black people running around in Africa that they was targeting. No, that they combed through and they knew, like, yo, these the people right here.
Keep going.
Read on.
This report, which certainly savors of the marvelous, derives, however, some sort of countenance from the statements of Kircher and Idrisi, purporting that a colony of Jews, which first settled on the shores of the Niger, afterwards removed to this country, flying probably before the arms of the Saracens.
There you go. They know Israel was there. That Jews in that area. And remember that area, Wangara, that was a slave port also. We were there earlier. Right. Wangara. So they knew who they were going after. They weren't just grabbing random Negroes out of Africa and putting them on a boat. No, they were grabbing Israelites based upon divine intervention. Now, let's get slavery in the Arab world again. Page 11 and 12. As for the Arab traders, start there.
As for the Arab traders, most were small dealers.
No, matter of fact, read up, go up some. In the Persian Gulf.
In the Persian Gulf, port of Sur, one of the most active in the region, no custom records were kept of slave imports.
They were hiding it. Go ahead.
In India, official records are scattered or are virtually non-existent.
But they have them. Go ahead.
And for the Arab traders, most were small dealers who, in addition to trafficking in slaves, also traded in spices, ivory, and leathers.
Come on.
The number of slaves they packed into their dhows ranged from 10 to 25 and rarely exceeded 75 to 100. There were a few established small brokers in the trade, but none was of the order of those who were active in the transatlantic traffic. These petite commerciants disposed of their merchandise at scattered points along the Red Sea, Arabia, the Persian Gulf, and even beyond. Since their trade was small and conducted on a personal basis, records were seldom kept. Whatever inclination individual traders may have had to maintain records was discouraged by the enactment of anti-slavery ordinances by Western countries, which made the traffic an illicit affair and subject to severe penalties. Few and far between were those who left behind a record of this traffic. Among Africans, this was even more the case. The written word was scarcely used by them. Thus, records or accounts of African middlemen who supplied Arab traders with slaves are conspicuously lacking. The lack of information turns up on another front. The victims of this great human tragedy were silent witnesses to what they experienced and observed. Except in rare cases, slaves left no account of the events leading to their capture. The march to the coast or across the hot sands of the Sahara, in which many died along the way. Deportation to an utterly foreign land. And finally, the life they were forced to lead in the service of a master or under the observant eye of the house eunuch.
Of the house eunuch. We became house eunuch of the Agas. That was last week. Go ahead.
Denied the testimony of the victims of this inhumane system.
You weren't allowed to speak on it. Go ahead.
And burdened by inadequate knowledge of a practice that stretches back to the dawn on recorded history. The historian is confronted with a daunting task of reconstructing a story that conveys an unclouded picture of the slave trade in the Muslim world and how the slave fared in his or her new environment.
Jump down. Because
the Indian Ocean slave trade had for so long been obscured in the shadow of history, much about it remains unknown or lies in the fertile field of speculation. Not surprisingly, there are no baseline figures of the actual number of blacks who were transported into a life of slavery in the country situated along the rim of this vast ocean basin. The British Authority on East Africa, Sir Reginald Coupland, has argued that millions of blacks were sent from the region to the slave marts of Asia.
Slave marts of where?
Asia.
Now we're getting somewhere. The slave marts of Asia. I know you thought the Moab, Chinese and Japanese weren't involved. Oh, no, they was involved. They were involved in the slave trade, too. That's what we're getting at. The slave marts of Asia. Go ahead.
Resulting in widespread depopulation of the area. This trade, he observed, ran like a scarlet thread through all the subsequent history of East Africa until our day. According to the calculations of Raymond Money, a French authority on Africa, approximately 14 million blacks were wrenched from their society and brought to the Muslim world from the 7th to the 20th century.
Stop right there. Give me the textbook now. No, matter of fact, give me the maps in this book. The maps of this book here is a bunch of maps in the front of it. The slavery in the Arab world. There's some maps I want to go back to.
And that's the 20th century and up to now.
Yep.
That's still going on.
Yep. In the Slavery in the Arab World book, there's maps in the very beginning of it. It's like in the introduction to the book, like an introduction. There's maps inside the cover, in the front of the book. We used them before. Y'all have them. If you don't have them, that's fine. All right, so slave marts in Asia is very important. If you can't find it, it's okay. I'll bring it next week. But the slave marts in Asia, that's something that's not spoken of. It's I won't say not spoken of, but it's known. It's known, and if you're not doing your due diligence to research it, you won't find it. But you got to look. You got to find it. Get me scripture. I want scripture yet. No, I don't want Isaiah. I don't want Isaiah 49 yet. No, that's what y'all thinking.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, I know what y'all thinking. Yeah, not yet. I'm going there soon. Huh?
You got something else?
You gonna do Zephaniah or no?
You can get there. Zephaniah what?
I think it was
3 and 10.
I think when it's the pride of Moab.
You got a text. In the meantime, you read the text. In the meantime.
Oh, you got it. Okay, that works.
If I can't find it, it's okay. It's not. It's written as a reference. So if you don't have it, you have it, but you probably don't have it for that book. You don't have it? No, sir. All right, that's fine. What's the text say?
Zoom in.
Give me the textbook though. Get that next. Pull that up.
Okay. Says move it back up to the right.
I can't see it on the screen. What's it? Y'all got it on the screen too or no?
Move it back up the other way because I can't. The light's in the way.
It's all right. It's all right.
Right there. So did the Muslims and Europeans know to target us in their raids from the seizure of our records or other information, and was the slave trade also in the Silk Road?
Yes, it was. The Silk Road, we're heading there now. The Silk Road, we're jumping into that very soon. maybe even today if time allows. But yes, they did know. The Portuguese, remember the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish and Portuguese expelled Jews or Israelites out of their coast, and we fled further into Africa. And so they knew, the Portuguese knew when they began to colonize and take portions of Africa, and they encountered us, they know, you guys are the ones that ran from us. They knew. And the Arabs, of course, they knew. So they worked together. These guys are running away from us, running from you, and running from me. They have no power. Let's enslave them, as the Bible says. Lifted up their head. So, yes, they did know. And in terms of the Silk Road, we're getting there. Don't jump ahead. We're getting there. Silk Road. Yes, the Silk Road definitely involved us. So now, get me the textbook now. Put it up from the textbook. And we're going to start from, I don't want to read all of this. Go down. Let me see. You start from there, before Columbus's arrival. Because the trans-Pacific slave trade not only ties into the shipping and enslavement of the Negroes, it also ties into the shipping and enslavement of the Native Americans too. You didn't see that coming. Okay, the Native Americans are being shipped from over here across to the Pacific also, to the slave ports of Asia. The Negroes, the Native Americans were involved in the slave marts of Asia. Not just the blacks. So, I'm taking you on in a whole different direction now. You're like, whoa. This is unheard of. No, it is. But we know. Let's go.
Impact of European settlement on the lives of indigenous peoples. Before Columbus' arrival, the Americas were inhabited by thousands of groups of indigenous peoples with different languages
Millions.
and cultures.
Thousands is a joke. Millions. Go ahead.
Their patterns of life varied widely, from hunter-gatherer tribes organized into tribal confederations to large-scale agriculture-based empires connecting bustling cities and towns. The best estimate is that the peoples of the Americans numbered around 50 million in 1492.
Yeah, because he killed millions of us off, Columbus, the slave raider. Go ahead.
Their lives were radically transformed by the arrival of Europeans.
Yep.
In the 16th century, perhaps, 200,000 Spaniards immigrated to the New World.
So what the Arabs did to us in Africa, when they depopulated the land masses of Africa, the white men did the same exact thing to us on this side of the world too. The Arabs and the Edomites, Ishmael and Edom are two sides of the same coin.
This is war.
Go ahead.
Conquistadors carved out vast estates called haciendas in temperate grazing areas and imported Spanish livestock for the kinds of ranching with which they were familiar. In coastal tropical areas, the Spanish erected huge plantations to supply sugar to the European market. Around 1550, silver was discovered in present-day Bolivia and Mexico. To work the cattle ranches, sugar plantations, and silver mines, the conquistadors first turned to the indigenous peoples. The Spanish quickly established the encomienda system, in which the crown granted the conquerors the right to employ groups of Native Americans as laborers, or to demand tribute from them in exchange for providing food and shelter.
So the encomienda system, you had two edicts. You had one edict, the Pope Nicholas V, where he basically instituted slavery for us in Africa to work plantations there. Then you had Pope Alexander VI of Rome, white Jesus' daddy, Caesar Borgia's father, passed the edict on this side of the world to enslave the Native Americans under the same thing, to be slaves. So again, they enslaved us and colonized us in Africa, enslaved us and colonized us in the Americas, and both passed edicts that established the slave trade in both parts of the world regarding both sets of people, because it's the same people. Negroes and Native Americans are the same people, regardless of how they look.
Right.
But go ahead. Go ahead. It's gonna get bloody in here.
In practice, the encomienda system was a legalized form of slavery.
Right, it was a legalized form of slavery. So encomienda system was a legalized form of slavery. Go ahead.
The new conditions and hardships imposed by conquest and colonization resulted in enormous native population losses.
Depopulation. Go ahead.
The major cause of death was disease
and slaughter.
Having little or no resistance to diseases brought from the old world, the inhabitants of the new world fell victim to smallpox, typhus, influenza, and other illnesses.
All them diseases came from white folks.
Yep.
Even rats came from white folks. There were no rats here. They brought them here. Those diseases you have today, typhus and smallpox, that was not over here. Flu, that was nothing that was over here either. I think Esau bought almost every disease we have now, he bought over here.
Hey, D, they showed it in that little
They was damn banging goats and stuff and got sick. And Five goes west.
Five goes
The
west.
cartoon called Five goes west. Where all the rats was in the boat with the white folks.
Seeking new land.
Seeking new land. And new infestations.
Damn.
Go ahead.
Having little or no resistance to diseases brought from the old world.
And that's not racism. I mean, that's a fact. These viruses are not around when white folks was in here. They brought disease here. They brought rats here. Go ahead.
Another factor was overwork. Unaccustomed to forced labor, Native workers died in staggering numbers. Moreover, forced labor diverted local people from agricultural work, leading to malnutrition, reduced fertility rates, and starvation.
Reduced fertility rates goes into abortions now. Go ahead.
Women forced to work were separated from their infants, leading to high infant mortality rates in a population with no livestock to supply alternatives to breast milk.
Yeah, the babies died. Go ahead.
Malnutrition and hunger, in turn, lowered resistance to disease. Finally, many indigenous people also died through outright violence and warfare.
It wasn't finally, it was foremost. First and foremost, but okay. Go ahead.
The Franciscan Bartolome de las Casas.
Bartolome de las Casas.
1474 to 1566.
Documented
the brutal treatment of indigenous peoples at the hands of the Spanish. To these white lambs came the Spaniards like most cruel tigers, wolves, and lions, enraged with sharp and tedious hunger. For these 40 years past, minding nothing else.
Go ahead. Here we go.
I need that soundbite, man. He keeps
Minding
messing up.
Minding nothing else but the you read it. Minding nothing else but the slaughter of these unfortunate wretches, whom with divers kinds of torments neither seen nor heard of before, they have so cruelly and inhumanely butchered, that of 3 millions of people which Hispaniola itself did contain, there are left remaining alive scarce 300 persons.
So, don't want more? Okay, so blow it up some more. I don't need any, let me see. Yeah, move it over here. So you see right here, it says Español con India mestizo. So this is a Spaniard with an Indian woman. Okay, you see that there? So they have a mestizo, meaning the child born of a Spaniard father and native mother is a mestizo, all right? Or mixed, that means mixed. Then you have over here, mestizo con Española cautizo. I'm not sure what cautizo means.
You got the...
Obviously, I can't read it, man. What does it say?
I can't see it. The thing's all blurry.
Blow it up.
Look at the book. We got it.
Need my glasses?
No, it's just pixelated.
Glasses.
They ain't got no medicine.
Your glasses is just
No
there.
medicine.
Your glasses is a prop.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? Got Coke bottles in your damn face.
Yeah, I don't know what cantizo means, but it says it.
Be whatever you
Cautizo or cantizo?
Cantizo.
Oh, probably Portuguese.
C-A-T-I-Z-O.
What does it mean? You can
I
Google
don't know
it.
what
then.
cantizo means.
Type it in, cantizo. See what that means. It's gonna be Sesame Street today. Sesame Street. Mestizo con Española cantizo.
I think it's an N in there, right? Obviously, I can't. C-A-N.
Okay. Oh, same thing. Castizo. Someone who's mixed with Spanish or indigenous. Okay, so I
They
got
just
you.
made that term.
How y'all spell
Castizo.
Spanish words easier than English words?
I know, right? They got that quick.
That was crazy.
Them mine
All right,
all
so
scrambled.
got you. Yeah, congratulations. So
You're
here,
late, man.
so okay, so basically, this guy here to the right is a mestizo, pretty much married to another mixed person. So both of them are mixed ancestry here. They both have a Spaniard child, pretty much. So mestizo with the castizo is basically a mixed child, mix and mix. Go down. Now watch this. It says mulatto with Española morisco. So this woman here has most likely has a, well, remember the mulattoes originally brought over here had black fathers and white mothers. So it varies. But mulatto here, this woman here is a mulatto, and it says with Spanish morisco. A morisco is a Muslim or Moor that converted to Christianity. That's a brother right there. A brother, and that's their child right there, a Moor. So that child is a black child right there, regardless of the mother here. Now you have morisco with Española chino, Spanish chino. Now, that word there, Chino, most would say, oh, it means Chinese. No, not initially. That's secondary. Morisco, like this brother to the left, is married to this Spanish Chino to the right, and you see that child's dark like the brother here. Now, Chino, we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on Chino. Keep that in mind. Chino. Go down. You have Lobo con China. What's that say?
Hibaro.
Hibaro. Hibaro, which means you
Well,
got it from here, Yakin.
No, Hibaro is really Hebrew.
Hibaro. Yeah.
But today we call the Hibaros are the mountain people.
Yeah, of
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
It's just in the Caribbean in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the mountain people today? That's what we call them because when like the what was it? Those from Jamaica, the
Maroons.
The Maroons that went up to the mountains.
Yeah.
Those are the Maroons of the Spanish.
So basically, they're American Igbos.
Yeah, basically. And today they call mountain people because we escaped to the mountains.
Yeah,
to,
ran among them.
So that's what's synonymous with that.
In
today.
Lobo.
Lobo, that literally means wolf.
Oh, that's maroon then.
Dang.
All right, with China Hibaro. So that's basically a black man and native woman.
Yeah.
So it's a black man here and native woman. You see that child? A black man, native woman. So maroon and native woman. It's a Jake.
Basically, yeah.
Be a Moor and a Jake woman, native American woman. Over here, Hibaro again with Mulata. So again, primarily initially, mulattoes were black fathers, white mothers, or white Spaniards and native mothers. All right. So here is Hibaro is a brother, Native American brother here, right? Hibaro, and you have a mulata woman, a mulata albarazado.
Albarazado, yeah.
Which means.
I don't know what that means. Albarazado.
You look that up. You guys are so fast. Look that up. Albarazado.
Albarazado.
Yeah, you shooting your shot, Abadal. I hear you.
I know some words.
Albarazado.
Albarazado.
Congratulations.
That John's still in Spanish.
Yeah, they spell big words in Spanish.
Let me see.
Too.
Yeah, they ain't even switch that over.
The page.
Oh, right here. It's a
African descent.
Yeah, African.
There you go.
Mexico, Peru of African
Mexico and Peru means of African descent. Or Barazado. Let's go back.
Wow. All right.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. All right, let's go back. So it says Hebado, so that's a Hebrew man. No, I'm sorry, a Hebrew man. It says of Africa. So that means her father's black then.
Get better at looking up definitions of another language.
Yeah, they on point.
That's crazy.
Just gotta talk to him in Spanish.
It's like Stranger Things. It's upside down right now. So you got Hebado right here. So that's a native brother right there. A Hebrew, a Hebado, or a Native American Igbo, basically, with a mulata of African descent, meaning her father's black. As I said before, the mulattoes originally were black fathers and white mothers. Then Esau, over time, made it to white fathers and Native American mothers. But that's not. But primarily, the case was this sister is basically a black woman right here, with a white mother, more than likely. All right. So it's basically Jake and Jake. Go down, look at their child, dark as hell in the middle. Took out their black ancestry. Go down. You got Sambiago. Sambiago con Loba. So that's a black woman. Mulatto, what did I say?
Calpa mulatto.
Okay. You can pronounce it. What the hell does it mean?
I don't know. It's a calpa. I don't know what calpa is, but it just has calpa.
What's Sambiago? What's Sambiago mean?
Sambiago? I don't know either.
What's Sambiago mean?
Look it up. I think sometimes they spell it with a Z as well. Sambiago.
I don't know why, but when it's in Spanish, I just expect you to know what it means. But
now, because these are made up terminologies. They had a caste system. And it's just there's a bunch of confusion.
To divide us up.
Yeah.
That goes back to Psalms 8. It says, cut them off from being a nation. Gave them Lobo, named them Chino, China.
All they keep them separate from.
Yeah,
from
based
them
upon
being
caste, hair texture, shade, mix. That's what they do. But it's all the same people,
right?
For the most part, except for that bastard in the top, the Spaniard. He go somewhere else. He go in the toilet.
Said excuses.
Ain't no real Spaniard.
Damn. Damn.
Oh man.
Now there's a reason why I'm going through this particularly the China and the Chino are the most important. You guys need to remember the Chino and China terminology. Modern times refers to people of Chinese descent, but the original terminology given to those of Mexico or Mexico, as you would say, the Chinos there were not Chinese. All right? They were black Aztecan peoples, but we'll get to that in a minute. And the blacks brought over there from the Pacific Ocean, but we'll get into that. That's why I'm touching on the Trans-Pacific. You found it? Y'all look like it's still on the damn screen. Sambago? Let's do one at a time, man. You know what Loba means? It's African descent. Sambago. All right, what does that say?
Cambojo father and Indian mother.
What's Cambujo mean?
Cambujo?
Yeah.
Click on it. Click on that real quick.
I'm about to say, got Capo Mulatto right there, too.
Yeah, right there, yeah. Capo Molajo. Okay, so Capo Molajo. Oh, it's good. Okay. Oh, damn.
Cambojo
means black.
Yeah.
When describing an animal, dark or swarthy when describing a person. Wow. Oh, black. So Cambujo is black. Someone in the Americas, someone born in the Americas during the colonial times, parents of different races, particularly of Chinese and Zambaiga, or Zambaigo and Indian. Now, this Chinese thing here is Chino. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. So,
it says
Chino.
Go.
Toasted. Go down. Literally means toasted.
Damn.
So Chino means toasted. I mean black. That's what it means.
Officer Manny.
Y'all on point today, man. Give a round of applause to them brothers, man. Y'all on point today.
Manny.
Y'all finding words in Spanish. Y'all finding words in Latin.
Officer Chino.
He's not toasted. He's burnt.
Oh, okay. So Manny is
oven
Chino.
burnt. Manny's oven burnt.
He's a
Officer Chino. Let's go back. Let's go out. Hold that. Well, hey, keep that though. Keep that. Some good stuff, man. Save that.
When
thing.
you toast your
Save
bread, you
that
don't
thing.
want it his
Save
color,
that
man.
thing. So Cambuyo means black or swarthy. So go back to the descriptions again, to the book again.
That's Manny Cash.
So Sambayo
oven burnt
means black with a black capa mulatto. What's capa mulatto mean? Capa mulatto. What's that mean?
Capa mulatto.
Go back.
Calpa mean.
Go back. Capa mulatto. They had it up earlier. And that same link. Go back where y'all was at before. Save that link, favorite or something, but go back to what I had before. I had both.
Back, you'll see it. Not, yeah, hit back.
Wait. Go back. Go down. It might show it down. Go to the bottom. Can show more? Nah, go back. Go up. Hit back. Go back once. It show both. Yeah, see in the bottom right there, it says Calpa Mulatto.
Just copy that and put it into the search engine. Yep.
A mixed race, union between the Indian and the mulatto. Okay, so it's a native mixed with a mulatto, Spaniard, and African.
Click on this. Click on the whole caste system they got here.
Yeah,
Mestizo.
click the whole thing. Click down.
Yeah.
Hibado.
This is everything right here.
Well, there you go. Offspring of Indian and Capa Mulatto. Capa Mulatto is a person of mixed race, a result of a union between an Indian and a mulatto.
So they got Mestizo, the offspring of a Spaniard, indigenous person.
Lobo is wolf. Lobo. Offspring of a black and Indian person. So they call this wolf. Damn.
Morisco.
That's Maroons.
Yeah.
That's Benjamin mixed with Northern Kingdom. They call them Maroons. That's wolf.
Hey, D.
Cambuyo, wolf mixed with indigenous. Wolf goes back to Lobo. Mm-hmm. That's heavy stuff. Yes.
Now, I was going to say that mulatto right there where it says an offspring of a Spaniard and an African. That African could also be the father, correct?
Yes, it can, but they flip it around and have you think it's vice
right,
versa.
That's why I was going to ask.
Originally, it would be African and Spaniard, woman. But then they later on, Esau took over and said, no, it's white man and native woman. But no. Originally, the first mulattoes were black men with white women, and then over time, it was black. Also, they had it where mulattoes were black men and Native American women also. So it depends on which group of people. But here, for the most part, regardless of what they are in that picture, I'm sure I want y'all to focus on Chino, which means toasted, which is crazy. I didn't know I was going to say that. Asian, you know, people who are Chinese ain't no damn toasted. Well, the real ones are, but anyway, we'll get to the point. I don't want to confuse y'all. Anyway, we have 307. Let's go to... So go back up again to the images again. Now we got some clarity. Go back up to the top of the images. All right, so you got a bastard here, Spaniard here. We don't give a shit about him. Indian mestizo. That's the sister there. That's a mestizo there with another another Spaniard. So 2 mixed here on the top. So these are, with the exception of the sister on the right, that's a Jake. These probably most likely are heathens. Go down to the bottom. This is a Jake family here to the left, a Moor and a mulatto sister, woman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm bugging. Matter of fact, no, she's the Jake, it says here. Española Morisco. So she's a Moorish woman, but she's lighter, and he's a mulatto. So, you know, it varies. Then you have the other way around, Morisco and Española Chino. Okay? That's Chino. Keep that in mind. Chino, go down. You got a China to the left. Okay? Keep that in mind. So the China in Chino, Hibaro, these are important to remember. So let's go out. It's a really good book. Go over to the right to the words. Let me see if I want somebody there. Let me see.
Somebody in the comments said Chino is often referred in Mexico to a person of woolly hair as well.
Yes, toasting. Yeah, woolly hair. Right, exactly. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that whole history because all this ties together. The Pacific slave trade ties right into the Atlantic slave trade in terms of Native Americans and Negroes being shipped across back and forth. All right? So, what I want. Give me general history of Africa. General history of Africa, volume 5, page 51. Give me Jeremiah 50 and 33 in the meantime, just to kind of set the tone for what's to come in the next upcoming lessons. Jeremiah 50 and 33.
The book of Jeremiah. Chapter 50 and verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel,
Northern Kingdom,
and the children of Judah.
Children of Israel is so-called Hibaro, Native Americans, or Igbo, Judah and so forth, or Northern Kingdom as well, mixture of both. But Judah and Ephraim, go ahead.
Were oppressed together.
They were oppressed together. Go ahead.
And all that took them captive.
All that took us captive.
Held them fast.
They ain't letting us go nowhere. Go ahead.
They refused to let them go.
Because we were lucrative. We made them money, and we still do. Make them millions upon billions upon trillions and so on and so forth. Now, let's get to it. Page 51.
General History of Africa.
General History of Africa, volume 5, on page 51. That's it? All right, it's a description of them having us, gathering us up, putting us in the bottom of the ship right here. Okay, you see the Spaniards here? And they have us all gathered up here. This is the description of us. It's a slave being loaded.
Slaves being loaded on
the European slaving ship to the whatever. Let's go to next. Go to page 65. That's these dumbasses that think the slave ships aren't real. Page 65. There's a map right here. Since you can find the other map, that's fine. There's a map. Just go to the map. All one's a map. Yeah, I don't care about the words. Go to the top of the map. What does it say there? Read that.
The African diaspora in the Old and New Worlds.
The African diaspora in the Old and New Worlds. Go ahead. No, I don't want the raids. Just the map. So you got Morocco there. That's called the Maghreb, the Western Maghreb. That whole portion there, Morocco or Mauritania, is the Maghreb. There's a slave port there. All you see the arrows is a slave port. So the Portugal, from Egypt. See that? Go to the right. Egypt got slave ports there.
That slave port from Morocco, over by Senegal, is called Arguin.
Okay. Arguin. Yes, that's not too far from Wida.
Right.
And you got a Red Sea, Ethiopia, the bottom of Ethiopia there. Going over to the right, moving over to the right. Where's it going? Where they bringing us to? India. Uh-oh. Look at that, up in India. Go to the bottom, Bengali. Okay. Go down to the bottom, the black dot right there to the bottom of Africa. To the left, Zanzibar. Where they were intercepting the slave ships, the slave dhows from there. All right? Now, give me page 66 of the same book, page 66 and 67. Page 66 and 67. I want 66 first.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Africa from the 16th to the 18th century.
All right.
Y'all don't have 66.
Is that 66, that page, or no? It don't matter. Just read this, man. I don't want to waste time. Read read from the 1530s. Let's start from there. Let me see. Wait. Go up. Let me see.
Not far.
Wait. Let me see if I want this.
How far is it?
Yeah, start from if local Gujarat. Yeah, start from not far from Gujarat.
Not far from Gujarat is Wanera Island, which in ancient times was part of the prosperous commercial activity of northwestern India.
Commercial activity is slave trading. Don't forget that. Go ahead.
Including what is today Bombay.
Bombay.
And the Konkan coast. If local traditions are to be believed.
Hold that real quick, Konkan coast. Hold that real quick, Bombay. Give me that map. Gabi again, India map.
That's West India.
Yeah, give me the map.
The Malabar coast.
Malabar coast, yep.
Yeah.
Let's see who was on those coasts regarding this commercial activity that they're talking about. Blow it up. That's Africa. I want the India one. That's good too, but I want the India one. It's the other side of that map. Y'all should have that. There we go. Blow up India. All I want is India. I need nothing else. Yep, right there. Blow it up some. We need a better image than this. This resolution's garbage.
This is terrible.
We should have a way clearer version of this. This is unprofessional here. I don't like this.
I shared one with y'all a long time ago. That was really clear.
All right, blow it up some. We're just gonna make a way. So you see India here. It says India. You see Konkan coast on the left, and it says Malabar coast. All right, India, and you see. Look at the left. What's on the left? It says Beni Israel, black Jews. All right, black Jews. Go down. I don't like this resolution, man, at all. It's pissing me off. Koshin Jews. Is that what that says? I'm just making stuff up now.
Koshin is it? That's
Koshin's there. Yeah, Koshin. That's Koshin Jews. Black Jews there. Beni Israel. That's us there. This is India. It's this coast here. So the commercial activity was them selling the Jews from here off. All right. Lord's Roll. Next week we'll have a better resolution because that should not be. After the show ends, delete this picture. We're gonna get you a better one. That's terrible. All right. Page 67 now. Read that.
Not far from
Gujarat
is Wanera Island, which in ancient times was part of the prosperous commercial activity of northwestern India, including what is today Bombay and the Konkan coast.
Watch.
If local traditions are to be believed.
If local traditions are to be believed. Go ahead.
The CDs.
The CDs. Now, the CDs are the Zanj people. And a lot of them are taken from Zanzibar and brought over here. Or already over here. Go ahead.
Of Wanera, descended from Africans who arrived from Gujarat in 1489.
They were brought there by ships. If they arrived, they were brought there by ships. They didn't fly. They didn't teleport through a Stargate. Read on.
From the 1530s, the Portuguese developed political and economic control over parts of the west coast of India.
Yes, go ahead.
Especially the Konkan coast.
The Portuguese gained power and political control over the Konkan coast. Watch.
Where many African slaves were imported.
Who lived there? Jews. Black Jews were there. They knew what they were after. Psalms 83 is no lie. Read on.
Most of these slaves came from Mozambique.
Most of these slaves that weren't already in that area were brought over there from Mozambique. Go ahead.
And the Portuguese used them in trading on farms or as domestic
slaves. Go ahead.
Some were trained as priests and teachers for religious schools.
We were smart. Go ahead. And we spoke Portuguese. We spoke Portuguese already. Go ahead.
Especially in Goa, which became Portugal's headquarters for its East African and Asian colonies. Go ahead, watch. Throughout this period, Wanera Island retained its autonomy. By the 17th century, the Sidis, who comprised the bulk of the Muslims,
which is us. Go ahead. Why are we Muslim? Because the Arabs brought us over there. The Arabs brought us over, and remember the Arabs sold them slaves to the Portuguese, whether they were Muslim or not. They didn't care. So many of them were Muslim. Go ahead.
Had become its principal landowners. a council of elders of the major city leaders chose a Nawab.
Jump down. Read Africans here.
Africans also settled along parts of the Malabar coast.
Africans settled parts of Malabar because Jews were already there. Go ahead.
Malabar coast during the 17th and 18th century.
Watch.
These were black Jews.
We just read that in the other book. These Africans were black Jews. Go ahead.
Descendants of African slaves.
Wait a minute. So the ones that were brought over from Mozambique and from Zanzibar, what were they? They were Israelites also. Read it again.
Africans also settled along parts of the Malabar coast during the 17th and 18th centuries. These were black Jews, descendants of African slaves.
Go ahead.
Who had left Cochin and Kerala in southern India.
Go ahead.
To come and settle on that coast. Most became domestics.
Slaves.
And intermarried with local inhabitants.
Elam women. Go ahead.
And other Jews.
And other Jews who what? Who were already there. From the time of Esther, Mordecai, Babylon, we were already there. Go ahead.
The Portuguese were responsible for settling African slaves along parts of the Malabar coast, especially around Goa, which became one of its headquarters in the 16th century.
Go ahead.
The Italian scholar and traveler, Petro della Valle, reported that blacks from East and West Africa, Guineans and Mozambicans, were sent by sea to the Portuguese territories. The Portuguese made their black slaves domestics, bearers, and guards for their escorts. The women were often taken as mistresses.
So I went. Women were used as their whores. Our women were taken as their mistresses. So these were black Jews brought over to India. Remember, there were slave markets in India. They were selling Israelites as slaves from India, from Goa, which became Portuguese settlements. Now,
y'all got a better.
You got something? You can go now. You're going to do it now.
No, I'm saying the map, they got a better.
Oh, better map.
Yeah, pull it up. It's way better.
Pull it up and
way
then
better.
delete that other map immediately.
Yeah, this is good.
I think never existed. Let's pretend it didn't exist. They're all praises. There we go. Blow it up. There we go. So now we know. Beni Israel, Bomba. Beni Israel, black Jews are here. It says Sufada or Sophia. You got Sophia up there. So here. You got Konkan Coast, Malabar Coast. You got Phoenician script because when we sailed during Solomon's time, we sailed over here and we established our counties here during the time of Solomon's time. All right, from the Red Sea, they call it. They believe Ophir is in India. It's believed by most scholars that Ophir was India, where Solomon got the gold from. You have Cochin, Beni Israel, black Jews. You got Mapilas. Go up, Beni Israel, black Jews. That's who the Portuguese, the Portuguese brought more of us over to this side of the world. They already enslaved us on this side of the world, and they brought more of us to this side of the world to serve as slaves, with the Jews already there.
Hey, Deke.
Yeah.
I posted something. Mind if I get it for
go
Kosher
ahead.
Juice? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you get posted a screenshot of the Britannica Kosher Jews? Just going to exactly what Deke was talking about. For the Jews that was on the Malabar coast. Not that one, the other one first. Britannica. You'll see it, right? All right. Read that also, Shaltiel.
Koshin Jews.
Malayalam.
Malayalam speaking Jews from the Koshi, formerly Koshin region of Kerala, located along the Malabar coast of southwestern India. The Koshin Jews were known for their division into three caste-like groups.
So the Koshin Jews were divided into three caste groups. Read on.
The Paradises.
The Paradises were known as the white Jews. The Paradisi means strangers.
That's converts.
Yes.
That's yeah.
They came in the 1500s.
Yep.
Read
Portuguese.
on.
That's the so-called. Go ahead.
Right.
The Malabaris.
That was the ones that said they came from Solomon's time.
The real ones.
Right.
And the Meschuterim.
And that was a mix. So they said some of them said that they were already there in that land, and also some of them said that they fled from Portugal during the Spanish Inquisition.
Wow, that's us too.
Yeah. So read on.
Whereas they once numbered in the thousands, only about 50 Koshin Jews remained on the Malabar coast in the early 21st century.
And they sold us.
Yes. And also, too, during the year of return for the fake Israelis, a lot of the Jews that were the brown Jews left with them to go to Israel. So a lot of them live in Israel right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, you can go to the next part now. That's real quick.
Wow.
Koshin Jews, also known as Malabar Jews or Koshinim, are the oldest group of Jews in India, with roots that are claimed to date back to the time of King Solomon.
There you go.
That's it, dude.
That's it. That's it right there. During his travels, his Phoenician travels. So I said in the other map, Phoenician travels. That was Solomon's fleet sailing the sea. Go back over. Where it says Phoenician script adopt 900 BC becomes Brahmin, becomes Brahmi, becomes Brahmi. Phoenician. Wait. What? Phoenician script adopted. BC becomes Brahmin. Wow. Okay. So I guess that language is ours. Brahmin comes from the Phoenician script. That's us too. Go over to the right. The Phoenician alphabet over here. Sumatra. Yeah, we was all over here. There's all Solomon's fleet over here. All over this area here.
Especially after the Assyrian captivity.
Yeah, especially
where Northern Kingdom really went into Asia more.
Mm-hmm.
They even got in Koshin, they have a city called Jewtown. And it's where they allow the Jews to dwell and have their own 5 cities. So all of them used to dwell in their own land in India called Jewtown.
Wow. Now they're referred to as CDs and Dalits. Let me see. Get me Isaiah 11:11 again. Going back to it again. On full circle.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 11.
You read this earlier. We'll read it again.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria.
Assyria, Afro-Iran, Afro-Iraqis, Afro-Syrians, Afro-Turks. That's Assyria in that area today. Go ahead.
And from Egypt.
Egypt would be Egypt. Go ahead.
And from Pathros.
That would be Sudan today. Sudan, Pathros, or Swan. Go ahead.
And from Cush.
Cush would be Ethiopia, Eritrea today. Abyssinia, same thing. Go ahead.
And from Elam.
Elam. And from Elam. That's what you just read earlier today. Elam, India, or Persia, that same landmass. Or Persis, the same place. All right? That's how people. Afro, we call them Afro, not Afro. It's the CDs, Dalits.
What's it called?
And you have not Afro Indians. They have a name for them also. But that's us there. That's all us there. That's us. Okay, that's our people. We visited there, and they were very, very receptive to the word. You was there, right?
Yes, sir.
Very receptive to the word. They were very, very mindful.
He fits right in. Look, he looks like them.
They also got the Shidis in Palestine, Pakistan.
Yeah, the Shidis. That's us too. The CDs and Shidis is us too.
Yeah, Pakistan is India too.
Yeah.
The little civil war.
Mm-hmm. Get Acts 2. We are all over the place. Acts 2 and 5.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven.
So Israel was scattered among every nation under heaven. Go ahead.
And when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all those which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born?
Come on.
Parthians,
Persia, same thing, India, Iran. Go ahead.
And Medes.
Medes is northern Iran. That's Medes. Go ahead.
And Elamites.
Elamites. That's India again. Persia again. Go ahead.
And the dwellers in Mesopotamia.
Iraq. Go ahead.
And in Judea. And in Cappadocia. In Pontus. And Asia. Phrygia. And Pamphylia.
Some of these parts is Turkey as well. Going back to Assyria again. Go ahead.
And Egypt. And in the parts of Libya. About Cyrene and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes,
Greece,
and Arabians.
Arabia.
We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God.
So Elamites and Arabians. Elamites and Arabians. Get Esther 1 and 1. Us being in these areas goes all the way back to this time right here. Even earlier, but we'll just start here for now. Esther 1 and 1.
Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces.
Yeah, the 127 provinces, this king of Persia, Ahasuerus. Now, get me chapter 3, verse 8.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
So from India to Ethiopia, he said there's people, your people of Israel, scattered in all your provinces. All these 127 provinces, Israel was found here during Babylonian captivity. Even earlier than that. Read on.
And their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hand of those that have the charge of the business.
That's all I want. So Haman was trying to destroy us, but he got killed in the end. But we were all in those provinces of the Persian Empire. Now, during King Cyrus's time, India was a part of the Persian Empire. So when it says Elam, and I say India, Persia is pretty much one and the same. Because during Cyrus's time, especially during Cyrus's time, India was pretty much annexed to the Persian Empire. It was one and the same, all one realm. All right? So now, give me Isaiah 49 and 12. Now we can go there. You had it in your mind but earlier. Isaiah 49 and 12. As I mentioned earlier, the slave marts of Asia. All right?
The book of Isaiah, chapter 49 and verse 12. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north, and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim.
Sinim is China. Write that down in your Bible. Sinim, or Sinai, or Sinim, is China. Israel is in China, the slave marts of Asia. That includes India, that includes China, Japan. That's the Far East. Because Israel is in the Near East. Part of Africa is the Near East, or so-called Middle East. There's no Middle East. But the correct term is Near East. And then you have the Far East, or the Orient. That's the further east. China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, India. That's Asia also, the other part. All right? We were in Sinim. That's China. Get that map again real quick of India, just to show it. We're almost done. Just to show how close India is to China. Blow it up. You see India right there? That's India right there. All right? Now go for China. Look for China. See right there? Next door. Right next door. Right next door. There's the same landmass damn there.
They share a border with the Tibetan mountains.
Yeah, it's the damn same place, man. It's the yeah. So China and India are next door neighbors.
Don't they all?
And Russia and Mongolia up the top, and Russia ain't too far from there. Russia's up the top, I think Russia's up north.
Yeah, Mongolia and then Russia.
Russia, Crimea right there. Yeah.
India referred to as Asians too.
Yeah.
No, they are Asians.
They are Asians, yeah. They're referred to as Asians, yes.
Asia just means east.
Yeah, exactly. So they're neighboring. So Israel had no problem when we got in the Persian king's provinces. China is part of that. We went over there too. Just go right to the right. We traveled over there. Go over to the right. You'll see in China. You'll see synagogue here, Peking, Canton Jews. Go to the bottom.
Canton, that's where like Hong Kong. That was actually a big slave port was there.
Wow.
Where they were shipping us from the Philippines, Japan, Korea.
Oh, yeah,
there, Canton.
We're going to get there. Yeah, that's a slave port as well. Go down. The other thing to the right? Right, no, right there to the right. That paragraph there. Despite ruin, read that. Despite ruin of every province and massacres. Read that.
Despite ruin of every province and massacres of Jews and the civil wars that began 854 A.D.
So that was us there. Go ahead.
Solomon of Andalusia in 875-900 A.D. found Jewish communities in all large cities of China, able to speak Hebrew.
We were in that area. That's Dark Ages. We were in China. All right. So now, what do I want? I'm gonna end it there because we got some. We're gonna start jumping into Japan. I don't wanna,
Konnichiwa.
Yeah, konnichiwa. Yasuke.
Konnichiwa.
Yasuke. Silk Road. We trying to jump into that. Listen, come on, man. More. Nah, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna fall back for now because I gotta read a few pages in this book regarding us in the diaspora in Japan. I think I'll hold off on that for now and deal with that Lord's Law next week regarding us in Japan. So hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. We got a lot more to go. I got pretty far in this. Unexpectedly far. So all praise for that. So we're going to jump into us in Japan. We're going to jump into Africa a little bit, then back into India a little bit, and then America, because it all ties together, believe it or not. You're going to see how it ties in together and how these nations definitely knew who they were dealing with, who they were capturing, who they were selling. It was a joint effort, a divinely inspired, diabolical effort by the nations to destroy us. All right, and we're going to go into that history. So hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. Once again, donate. Well, you'll announce that, but all praise to the Most High. Just donate when you can, how you can. We appreciate your contributions. And with that, say shalom.
Hey, let's give it up. Fire class. Hey, like we've been saying, this is some real good information that they are not teaching in school. Right. So they already trying to stop teaching about the transatlantic slave trade. But the deacon, the leadership, they going over transatlantic, sub-Saharan, Indian Ocean, Oceania. So make sure we taking notes and teaching our children. Mm-hmm. All right, Israel, make sure you subscribe to our Hidden History Radio on YouTube. Hit the notification button so you know when we go live. You don't want to miss history class. All right. Also, subscribe to our Philly pages, IUIC Philadelphia and IUIC Philadelphia in the Classroom, to get the latest camp videos from the deacon, captain, and officers of IUIC Philly. Donate to Our Hidden History on PayPal. You can donate to iuic.philadelphia@israelunite.org. In the comment section, put OHH. Donate also to the Booster Club. We've been saying it all day. We got a lot of people. As you see from these classes, our people are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right? So if you want to help, send your donations on PayPal to iuic.fundraising@israelunite.org. Subscribe to IUIC TV to get exclusive content from the leadership of IUIC. And, yeah, Raven and Wolves is still not going on. So waiting for the next show to come up next. Deacon Malachi putting some fire together. All right. Missing persons. We have, for this week, Kylie Brown. Kylie Brown's 12 years old. 4'10", 100 pounds. Black eye. I did it again. Black hair, eye color brown. But Kylie was last seen on November 15th. She may be in the area of 500 East Duval Street in the 14th Police District, all right? So if you do see or know about her whereabouts, make sure you inform the local authorities, all right? It's crazy, 12 years old. All right, land fund. You hear it all throughout every class. We are going to get the land, all right? So it just depends if you're going to be a part of that help. Do you have that faith? Sending your donations on PayPal to Israel@israelunite.org. In the comment section, put land. Next. And lastly, we're seeking your assistance to enhance our national broadcast. Kindly spare a minute to provide feedback by answering 5 brief questions. So pull out your phone, hit the QR code. You might have some questions. Why can you spell in Spanish and not in English? You don't even speak Spanish. Something's going on here. So,
well, enemy, I'm mistaken.
No, go ahead. No. Say it. You can say it.
No.
This is it asks for your honest feedback.
The sister he's talking to, Her mom is Northern Kingdom.
Oh.
Damn.
So now she teaches Spanish. Damn.
Wow,
Well,
man.
but, give your honest feedback, everybody.
It's like you led the audience just to give a negative review, bro. Well, all praise to the Most High, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I enjoyed teaching it as well as learning along with you. So, Lord's will be going to jump into Japan. Lord's will next week. First thing, Japan. And hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I'm going to enjoy it. We're almost getting close to the King James stuff. That I'm more excited for that, to be honest. Well, I'm excited about this, but when we get the King James stuff, that's going to be next level. So hope you guys look forward to that too coming up after this lesson. So all praise to the Most High. With that, we're going to say shalom, and we'll see y'all again next week, Lord's will.
Shalom.
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 Bless.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.